All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I really wanted to put the spotlight on quarterback Zach Wilson for a second. I think this needs to be talked about, and obviously right now the Jets are 3-3 on the season. We have a huge opportunity, a huge game this week, this Sunday against the New York Giants, potentially getting to 4-3. In other words, above 500 for, the first time since week one. Absolutely huge. And also how another layer that we can throw on top of it is the fact that the trade deadline is that following Tuesday on Halloween. So it's much better to be a buyer at the deadline being 4-3 as opposed to 3-4. Not to mention the AFC is absolutely stacked. But in any case, I think Zach Wilson needs to be talked about here because I really wanted to give him some credit. I think, on paper, he's not blowing anybody away with his numbers. He's not throwing for 400 yards a game. He's not, throwing for 4 or 5 touchdown passes. He's not putting up Mahomes-esque, right? Lamar, Jalen Hurts. He's not putting up top 5 numbers. No, obviously not. But I think when we take a look at Zach Wilson, we have to understand this. It's I want to say impossible to go from horrible, borderline unplayable to elite, to really good, to top 5, top 10 in a matter of a couple of weeks. I think what we saw in the first 3 weeks of the season, and I've said this, a couple times here, personally for me, I am giving Zach a pass in week 1 just because it was so out of the blue. Nobody expected Zach Wilson to be playing that entire game pretty much, and Nathaniel Hackett to have this bulletproof Zach Wilson game plan ready to go in his back pocket just in case Rodgers goes down within 4 plays. But against the Dallas Cowboys and New England Patriots, and let's just lump the first 3 weeks together here, it wasn't all that impressive. The offense wasn't moving. They were failing to do a lot of things. Combined, he threw for 2 touchdowns to 4 INTs. He had multiple games with a completion percentage either at or below 50%. If my memory serves me correctly, he actually had one game in the mid-40s as far as completion percentage was concerned. So he wasn't really completing the football all that efficiently. He wasn't really doing a whole lot through the air, right? Passing yards, all those numbers were pretty low, and he was also turning the football over. You fast forward to the next 3 weeks, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Eagles, and again, he's not playing like a top 10 quarterback, but there are clear improvements in some massive key areas here. Number one, the TD to INT ratio. He's thrown for 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's had multiple games with a completion percentage above 70%. And he's also throwing for roughly 200 passing yards per game. And by the way, the Jets are 2-1 in these last 3 weeks. So from top to bottom, Zach is throwing for more yards. He's more efficient and he's less chaotic. He's less turnover prone. And I think because of those 3 areas, we are seeing a better New York Jets offense. Now, again, I'm going to keep coming back to it because it is still the weak point when we just are analyzing the 3 sides of the football here: offense, defense, special teams. Offense to me is still the side with the biggest question marks. They still are struggling to start fast. They continue to start slow every single week. They continue to struggle on third downs. That has been so apparent, and it's been so nauseating to watch. And also the red zone struggles, which have been talked about ad nauseum, right? So three main areas that you have to clean up if you're Nathaniel Hackett in this Jets offense. But I really want to again give Zach some credit here because we can compare this year to his previous 2 seasons, of course, but if we think back to again these first 3 weeks of the season, and the reason why I'm splitting it up equally like that is because there was a turning point. I personally felt like Zach Wilson was handed the hardest potential challenge that any quarterback would have to deal with, which is you're in the New York market, you're in year 3, you've been playing horrible football these first 3 weeks of the season. The offensive line has question marks. There's injury. The injuries are starting to mount up. You just lost a game to the division rival New England Patriots, and now you have to bounce back against arguably the best team in football, the Kansas City Chiefs, in your house, MetLife Stadium, in front of your home fans on primetime football. That to me, like you can't ask for a harder challenge, in my opinion. Because at least if Zach went to Arrowhead, he doesn't have the pressure of his own fan base. At least, in Wilson's head, like, oh man, if I make a mistake, is everybody going to start booing and whatnot? But he went out there and did some really, really good things. And, credit Hackett. I think the game plan was a lot better. They were letting him throw. We saw some positive stuff. So I think that speaks volumes about Zach maybe mentally. We can listen to him in his press conferences. I think he's handled them beautifully throughout the course of the entire offseason. I think he's done a great job in that regard. That's been another issue in the past where maybe he hasn't taken accountability. But this season, it really seems like he's maturing and he's playing like a game manager. And I know game manager these days, with the game tailored towards, offensive football and, penalties and can't hit the quarterback and fantasy and scoring points, first downs, touchdowns, everything is tailored towards throwing the ball, right? Everything is tailored towards high-end quarterback play. Game manager is almost viewed as like this negative term, this negative, like it's not considered a compliment. But I think in regards to Zach, like really, the term in general, game manager, to me, what that means is you have a really good football team, whether it be a great running game, great wide receivers, great trench play, great defense, great coaching staff, whatever it is. You have a really good football team here. We just need the quarterback to not mess it up, right? To not throw multiple INTs, to not roll out a sub 50 completion percentage, to not take brutal sacks where you're dropping back and you're dropping back and you're trying to extend and you're taking a sack. It's just managing the game. It's just hitting the open guy. Can you complete easy passes? Are you efficient? Are you, putting out a decent completion percentage? Again, Zach Wilson, multiple games above in these last 3 weeks, a completion percentage above 70%. Huge. That is a fantastic sign that not only is Wilson maybe looking a little bit more mature on the field, but he's processing information. He's picking up the Hackett system. I think these things really bode well. So for me, to see Zach playing like a game manager right now, it is super encouraging. I'm hoping that it continues. We've had the 2 weeks to prepare for the Giants. I'm expecting a ton of different looks from Wink Martindale and this, pressure, this chaotic, this defense that is going to throw a ton at quarterbacks. I'm expecting a lot of different things to be coming Zach Wilson's way. I'm just hoping that he can handle it and he can continue being the game manager that we've seen for the last 3 weeks. So let me know your and real quick, actually, before I end the video, I don't want, is having a game manager at quarterback viable or realistic to go out and win a Super Bowl, to make a deep playoff push? In the past, the answer is yes, right? We actually have seen that. There is like factual proof out there that you can do that. It is tougher, right? Obviously, you want a Josh Allen, you want a Jalen Hurts, you want a Patrick Mahomes, of course. But that's just not the situation that the Jets are in right now. I think really the hope is that Zach could just continue to improve, steps in the right direction with every passing week. Maybe he is a step back here or there, but macro perspective, grand scheme of things, he is overall just getting better from a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And then, if we stack that up and look at it from the end of the season, we could be looking at some pretty good quarterback play. So that's kind of my hope. And we'll see how it all plays out. Anyway, Jets, Giants this weekend. Let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, go Jets.